So huge thanks for joining myself. It's just a short snapshot video with Brian Levin from Crowd with Us. Huge thanks to Rob Wilkinson for organising this video. So look, it's just a short snapshot video. We're looking at due diligence, and why due diligence is so important for developers is also about how to make the process quicker as well. So rather than the process not have a complete end point, how can you speed up the process of working with Brian, people like Brian from Crowd with Us? So Brian, your experience is quite vast. You've worked for the likes of Master Haven, is one of the big companies which people I'm sure would recognise. So your experience in terms of Master Haven, in terms of working with Crowd with Us now as well, in terms of due diligence, we were discussing offline how people can help themselves at the end of the day, what people can do to ensure that due diligence is processed in a smoothly fashion. And we were looking at experience as key. We were looking at how people present. So you were talking about sometimes you may get things from the broker which may not show the complete picture. So when you say the complete picture, and I know we're slightly blinded by the sun there, hopefully you can see, Brian, something, but not seeing the full picture. For example, you may have a broker who says yes, they've got a client they're looking to raise funding, but then they won't tell you the end values. So what key metrics, key numbers are you looking for?
Hi, thanks Brendan. Morning everybody. The best thing when presenting a case is that you present all the details of the case. We've had situations in the past where, as Brendan was saying, a broker will come along and phone you up and say the client would like to borrow money, and they don't know key details like the end value of the property, how long the borrower wants to borrow the money for, and basic information like that. There have also been situations where you speak to the client directly and they aren't too sure exactly how many units they want to build in that. So coming back to what you're saying is, what you want is when a case is presented, you want the borrower initially to present the case at a high level, say what they're looking at doing, and give a brief description of the deal. That would include the deal, how they're looking at acquiring the property, how they're going to build it out, if it is going to be a build project, and what the exit is. You always need a clearly defined exit. And overall, you want to step back and think, does this deal make sense? I.e., is there the sufficient profit in there? Is it a reasonable build? Does it make sense what they're trying to do in context of the location or the area? So all these things need to be considered. And if the deal doesn't make sense at that point, then you are concerned that it's something that you don't want to proceed with. When you've ascertained that the deal does make sense, what you'd like to do is then to give, as I said, an overview of the numbers. So you'd have a look at the numbers behind the GDV, the cost, the profit, and everything behind that. They may or may not at that point have a valuation or a quantity surveying report or any costings, but any backup information would really be helpful. You then also want to understand, if it's a development, are they developing it themselves? Are they going to get in a contractor? At this point, it's very important to make sure if they're getting a contractor, the contractor has the relevant experience as well as the developer. You don't want somebody coming along who's just developed 4 units to come along and now say they want to develop 30 units. So all these things need to be considered.
Okay, so from 4 to 30 you'd say is too significant a jump. Maybe from 4 to 10 units you may say is something more reasonable. Do you look at a geographical spread as well? So for example, Nicholas Marshall, who's the co-host of the Wandsworth Property Network, Nicholas co-hosted. I've been to his site in Caterham, Surrey. It's a 17-unit site. Nicholas's experience, maybe a little bit more vast than that, but it's literally from Battersea to Gatwick, so that's his geographical spread. So does that make a difference when you've seen a developer, an investor who's got a specific catchment area?
I think it helps if a developer or investor has a catchment area, because they very much understand the micro details of the micro area. So they'll know what the demand is, what type of units they need to build, and that's on the sell side, which is very important, especially with uncertainty in the market surrounding Brexit over the next few months, but in the next year or two. They'll know how long it should take to sell the certain type of unit. So that's very important there. And I think that's the more important focus when you're looking at your micro area. What is more helpful on the building side is they may have some local builders or regional builders that know the area well and have supply lines and everything. So that's a secondary consideration which you'd look at.
Because I have to admit, a lot of my experience is talking to developers like Evan McDonald, who's raised money through Crowd with Us, the likes of Nicholas Marshall, who's done it through bank finance, and he talked about how important it was to have a national bank to help him with his development of Caterham, Surrey, 17-unit development. Brian, any final words to add in this beautiful sunshine? So I know the sun's glaring at us, but it's nice to be in the sun, and it's also nice for those investors, developers, not to be in the dark as well and to be in the light.
Absolutely. The one thing I'd say is when anybody ever wants to borrow money, any developer out there, and you're approaching a bank or a crowdfunding business like ourselves, Crowd with Us, be honest. Point out the positives and the negatives of the deal. If there are problems, share the warts and all, share the problems, because if we work together we can overcome it and find a solution. One of the biggest bugbears I have is when people try to hide information or paint it in a different way. The truth inevitably comes out, and that can cause a breakdown in a relationship. So make sure your deal makes sense. Make sure that you're honest with the lender or the crowdfunder, and work together, provide all the information, and hopefully we can help you.
So look, the key date for you is the 14th of November. I know there's lots of key dates, my birthday anniversary, but it's my birthday to be fair, in October 27th, but for me it's on the 25th. But Brian's going to be presenting specifically on the 14th of November. So that's in Wandsworth. It's an easy venue to get to, yards away from the station. Literally you fall out of the station, Wandsworth town, you're at the venue. So do book early. People are booking that event early right now, so that's on the 14th of November. Really delighted that Brian will be there. My other interview today will be in Reading. I've got 2 interviews in Reading, one with Craig Hopkins, who's always going to be presenting on the 14th of November. Brian, huge thanks for joining myself, and huge thanks to yourself as well.
Thanks, Brendan.